Now, here's something you've probably never seen. Have you ever wondered what a traditional, I guess you could say, Catholic wedding was like in Argentina? Well, you're about to find out because that's what my aunt and uncle did back in 1994. So I'm doing a voiceover over this part simply not because of music, but because there really isn't any dialogue at all. And even though the priest is doing most of the talking, you can hardly hear it because, well, the church has poor lighting. It is basically like a cave. You can't really see much, and you can't hear much either. It just echoes around everywhere. So there's poor visibility and audio here. So basically, yeah, this is a local Catholic church, I guess, in the neighborhood where not only my parents had to have a house, but also where the ones who are getting married, my uncle and aunt have a house as well. They built the house there. We saw it. It's in front of a field. I'm not personally religious person at all, but yeah, Argentina is a country. As any Hispanic country, is for the most part traditionally a Catholic nation, right? So most people, who speak Spanish and are baptized and have to do communion and weddings like this. I've seen it a lot because that happens to be the case for most of my cousins. Not our case. My brother and I, we were in fact not actually baptized or anything like that. So we don't observe any religions. So yeah, those two, they're my uncle and aunt, and I believe that's the groom, or I don't know what you call it, the best man and the lady in waiting. I'm not sure what they call it. Honestly, I'm not very familiar. We live in a day and age where formal ceremonies don't really have much relevance. However, I think back in the 90s, before the constitutional reform, you know, these ceremonial weddings, Catholic weddings, were actually legally binding because the Catholic Church had a lot of influence over politics and government, and yeah, and they literally had to sign something, as you'll see, and but not anymore. Nowadays you just sign a paper at the city hall or wherever, some city office, government office, and you're set. You don't need to go before a priest or anything like that. Every religion has their own type of wedding. Whether it's Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, Hindu, whatever. They have their own thing. So yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the church. Let's see who I can identify here. I don't know them by name, honestly. I think they're just friends of them, and I think I recognize a couple more people. Besides myself and my mom and dad. I think one of them might be one of the children of like one of my dad's aunt and uncle or something. So yeah, it's pretty boring. It's hard to understand. I was coughing. It was July. July in Argentina is actually winter. And yeah, this was 29 years ago to the date. Almost to the month, definitely. 29 years ago. Almost exactly 29 years ago. Hard to believe, right? I was already 6 years old, turning 7. Um, it's not very interesting. I'm not. My father loves filming extensively things that really don't have much of interest. But I'm guessing that for legal purposes, it was necessary to record this kind of thing just for the record. But the interesting part of it is just the ambience, right? I mean, it is the '90s. It's people might be curious about what life was like back then, especially in Argentina, which back then Argentina was actually doing really well. The economy was pegged, the currency was pegged to the U.S. dollar, 1 to 1, and so the quality of life seemed to be improving. However, it was also a little bit backwards. as you can imagine. And here it gets cut off a bit. Believe it or not, I mean, this footage was directly transposed from the original magnetic VHS tape. So as you can imagine, with time, these elements get deteriorated, and that would explain, a lot of these sudden bursts in the image quality. And I'm just talking over this because there isn't really much changing here. It's just the camera focused in the same manner in this dark area. But it'll get interesting a little bit as the camera moves around and there's better lighting. And basically, the priest is doing the whole ceremony, the whole speech, giving the blessing, amen, um, you know, all of these things, making him sign something. And he just keeps, my father keeps filming the same thing over repeatedly. But I guess, I'm guessing it's for record keeping. But yeah, he's just reading some passages, I guess, in the Bible or something. Honestly, I don't know too much about this. I don't I don't plan to ever do something like this in my life. So not something that I'm honestly interested in. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, the tape gets cut off. Yeah, everything was a little bit backwards back then in Argentina. Still, the mentality, some things never change in these kinds of countries in Latin America. Um, but yeah, the quality of life was pretty good. We had as kids, we had fun. We had cable. It was still difficult though. I mean, because it was hard to find work, and during that time, I remember my dad would go back to the U.S. and spend maybe like 6 months there, and work and raise some money and come back, and then my mom would do the same for another 6 months. And it was an interesting time to live in. We had cable. I used to love watching Cartoon Network a lot. Those cartoons. Also the documentary series in this channel called Infinity. And my favorite show was about dinosaurs. I also used to watch the local broadcast channels. The ATC was the name of the public station, the public broadcasting station in Argentina. And they used to show this show that I loved. It was Caloi in su tinta, or this guy named Caloi, his last name is Caloi, in his ink, which is a word play on how, like, in your sauce or something. Like, it's kind of means like you're in your element, right? So they showed all these awesome cartoons, very artistic cartoons from all over the world, claymation, animation. I used to love that kind of stuff, as well as, watching about dinosaurs and all these cartoons that they used to have. Animaniacs, of course, Tiny Toons, Back to the Future, the animated.
Gracias. Felicidades, sí.
Felicidades.
Felicidades.
Felicidades. Felicidades, padre mío.
Ahora, chicos. Ahora.
Ahí, mamá.
¡Viva los novios!
Muy bien, bueno, ahora juntarla para esta noche, para el guiso. Para el guiso de esta noche.
Pero me gusta de muy chico está.
Sale todo, dale.
Cara de feliz cumpleaños, vamos, dale.
Niño,
Vengan los pibes. ¿Qué tosía? ¿Qué tosía acá abajo? Yo quiero que tosía acá abajo.
¿La idea dónde está?
¿Eh? Vamos a buscar la ayuda.
Para que me pongo la... Para que me pongo...
Para que me engancharon.
Te gastaste más plata con esa.
ponete bien, Rubén, una vez en la vida.
No hay más.
Pero acá hay.
¿Qué compraste? ¿Un rollo de 12?
Flash,
Cero.
Salen todas las fotos. Flash. Flash. Flash.
36. Murió.
¿Qué le pasó?
No.
Ah, ya venía.
¿Ya venía sacada?
Entonces se termina. Che, qué pijotero.
¿36 sacaste?
No,
estaba bien sacado.
no saqué tanto.
Según la que
Te gastaste todo, la libreta de 10 esa libreta.
Pero ¿sabes cómo chino?
Es la verdadera, ¿no?
No sé, me parece que lo voy a fraguar.
Che, así que mi mamá.
chiquita.
Si trajiste 4 fotos miserables, ¿qué querés?
¿Qué 4 fotos? Es ella que le anda sacando fotos al gato.
Ay, yo la mato.
Dos o tres acá.
Foto al gato, al solito.
No tenés caspa, che. Ah, no, no, no.
No, se borrea.
Piojo.
¿Sabés qué hizo que me hago? Vos dejalo que... ¿Sabés qué hizo que me hago esta noche? ¿Sabés?
¿Puedo filmar?
Ya sale aceitado y todo.
Un poquito.
Voy a filmar.
Sí. Después le pongo un poquito de sal. Sí, hasta la espalda. Sí. Ahora en diciembre es mi venganza. La venganza. Él en diciembre.
Ah, ustedes primero. Son seguiditos.
Vamos.
Salí, ¿verdad?
No, nosotros ya estamos.
No, así que.
No, a ellos.
Todo llega, chicos, todo llega.
Pero Manuel. Yo estoy filmando.
Porque la niña.
Pero bueno.
Ustedes no sé de qué año tendría ahí.
Vas a grabar por favor.
Parece que no prendieron las luces. No ves que cuando después abrieron las puertas y prendieron las luces, ya cuando prendíamos luces.
Sí, más vale.
¿Estaba todo muy oscuro?
Cerraron la puerta con llave y no pude entrar.
Y eso pasó.
Abrimos.
Y no pude
No
entrar.
sé muy bien.
Para prender la luz, quería prender la luz de
Ay, golpe en la puerta.
Después cuando le pregunté, viste,
Es fácil la cámara,
No sé.
La de noche sale todo. Ah, no, no, yo filmo mucho.
Bueno, chao, Susana. Del amigo, chico, hoy no nos saludamos. Chao, Gaby, feliz día.
Igualmente.
Chao. Chao.
¿Ya?
Por supuesto que se casaron, me dice.
¿Así?
Sí.
Mira, la gallina se
Hice la mesa.
¿Por qué se pelo? Qué cortito. Ah, por la comida. Ah, no, yo lo voy a agarrar. No, yo lo voy a agarrar. Y después dicen que a alguien le alcanza la comida.
Wasn't that fun? Don't worry, there's more coming up. If you just keep watching, that's all I'm asking. Subscribe and share with your friends. As always, I'll be seeing you at the Sean Mix.